Change is inevitable. I assure you that you aren't the same exact person you were a couple years ago. But what caused this change? Well, stories are much more than just stories. People are much more than just people. Can you remember a time when you actually learned something? Every single day we learn something new. Every single one. And while writing my journals, I began to look into myself and noted each and every single learning experience that I had, and how those have ultimately shaped me one way or another. Stories are everywhere. They aren't just books. Stories are so much more. They involve so many things. My life has changed because of stories. But when we look at it, we look and analyze the context. It isn't only what I read in a book, or when I listened to a certain song, watched a movie, or even got lectured by my mom. It is so much more. Look at yourself. Think about yourself. I've got two big stories, two huge experiences, two completely different planets. My parents. I consider them stories. They involve so much in my life, and as I've thought about myself, I notice how these two people have shaped me up, and I have learned so much from them. Good things and bad things both. To further understand how we've changed, we must always be looking back, once in a while, even though we are moving forward, like the mirrors in a car. It is like this that I go back and remember. I remember The Little Prince. It was the first book I ever tried to read on my own, or well, tried to. And the fact that I tried to read this book and that my mother was there to guide me all throughout it was one that I think really had a major impact in my life, even if I didn't make much of it until now. And just to emphasize, it wasn't only the book who changed my life, but it made me realize and look into the bond that I had with my mother, that I still have, and that has been building up for the past 16 years. I was introduced to this book by her, and this was just one instance where she not only helped me, but guided me. I am the person I am because of her. My father, you ask? Well, he was absent most of my childhood, and still is. There were so many stories that could have been created if I spent some time with him. However, I think the lack of these created a story in and of itself. The story of me, growing up without him, knowing he was still somewhere around Mexico. Whenever he would visit, if he did, we created some stories. He always wanted me and my siblings to keep on reading. For example, he would always take us to Gandhi, a bookstore near Office Depot, where he would buy at least one book to each of us. And at that age, I seemed to enjoy reading the most out of my siblings. And I remember that particular time, he bought me The Prince and the Pauper, which I believe was too difficult for me. I don't exactly remember what age I was at that time, but I was definitely too young for that book. In fact, it was too difficult that I didn't even get to finish the book. I didn't get halfway. However, this story in particular showed what was one of the few strings that held together our faint relationship. As of today, I cannot recall when was the last time I saw him. It was probably about 2 years ago. I think I miss him. Maybe. I sometimes think about how different my life could have been with him there. But that remains an untold story. Those are very specific examples that serve as a representation of what these two people mean to me. They may have not been there when I needed them the most, but it is because of them that I am who I am, and it is because of them that this is my story. But that's just me, a small part of me, and a deep part of me. It is your turn now to think about these stories There are much more than stories. Hopefully, you'll see how you've changed, and we'll keep on changing throughout.